Will law enforcement secure Shepherd Bushiri's return? The headbutting around how Shepherd Bushiri managed to escape South Africa has become a sore point for government, which has been left embarrassed. The now fugitive from justice and criminal Bushiri left the country undetected by neither law enforcement agencies nor intelligence. Among the speculations is that he was sneaked into the presidential jet following a visit by the Malawian president, Lazarus Chakwera. A warrant of arrest has since been issued for Bushiri and his wife, Mary, and they've also forfeited their bail amount of 400,000 rand. What should we make of the future relations between the two countries? A fallout from this incident, perhaps? Well, good evening. I'm Aldrin St-Pierre, and this is Unfiltered. Tonight, we speak to Malawi's Minister of Information, Gospel Kadzawa, and we'll also be joined by political analyst, Professor Elisabeth. And we start off our conversation here by introducing the Minister of Information joining us from Malawi, that is Gospel Kadzawa. Minister, good evening and welcome to Unfiltered. You're on SABC 3 as well as the SABC 3 news channel.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Minister, just from your understanding at the moment, can you confirm whether or not Shepherd Bushiri is in Malawi?
I can confirm that the Bushiris are in Malawi. They came into Malawi, we understand, according to them, on Wednesday. That's about 3-4 days ago.
Yeah. How did you get this information?
Well, he had a press briefing. Prophet Bushiri had a press briefing, and that's what he said. He said he entered Malawi on Wednesday. That's Wednesday last week.
Does this mean that the government hasn't independently verified whether or not he is in the country?
We are aware he's in the country. We are fully aware he's in the country. He is in Malawi, and that's where he is now. I can confirm Prophet Bushiri is in Malawi.
Sure, Minister. I'm going to ask for your indulgence here. So the Shepherd delivered this press briefing, or let's say a video that was published on Saturday, in which he indicated that he left South Africa to Malawi, and he said that he's left on Wednesday. But I want to know from the Malawian government side, has it been able to independently verify whether or not he is indeed in Malawi?
We have independently verified, and he is in Malawi.
You have independently verified. How did you verify this, Minister?
Oh, we have got, you might wish to know that that press briefing was also happening at one of the media houses in this country. And there were local reporters that were actually facilitating that that press briefing. So, yeah, that's not here nor there. He's here, he's in Malawi.
Okay. Can you confirm when he arrived in Malawi? And now I'm asking on the basis of the information that's available to the state, not the information that is the state may have gotten from the press briefing.
He came into Malawi on a Wednesday. That's what he tells us, that he came in here on a Wednesday.
Have you been able to verify this again independently, that he came on Wednesday?
We are in the process of verifying that, and certainly once we get to the bottom of it, we should be able to make an announcement as to the finer details of how, firstly, how he managed to beat the system in South Africa, how he managed to leave South Africa, how he managed to get through the borders of South Africa without passports, he and his wife, and again, how he managed to get into Malawi. Mm-hmm. All that we will be looking into it. But largely, we'll also be asking our counterparts in South Africa to explain to us, to furnish us with information as to how he managed to beat the system in South Africa and gotten into Malawi. We know very well of the capacity that South Africa has South Africa is quite a very big country with a big economy, and its security capacity certainly is much bigger than most of the African countries. And we are interested to see and know and learn how he managed to beat that system to get to Malawi.
Okay, so Minister, I'm just going to backtrack again, and we will deal with the aspect in relation to the South African government. So you said earlier on that Bushiri told us that he arrived on Wednesday. When you say told us, does this mean told you as the government, or that he told us as the entire nation or the countries that were watching that press briefing?
He told us, he told you, because you also spoke to South African media houses, you know, on so many television stations. So you and us are aware that he told us, he told the South African government, and he told us, his fellow citizens in this country, that yes, indeed, he arrived in Malawi on Wednesday.
Okay. Again, then from the state side, has the state been able to have an interview with him to ascertain some of this information?
No, we have not done that yet. You know, for us to interview anybody, there's also a procedure that we have to follow. Our security agents have to follow a proper strategy and a proper procedure. In this case, you know, he entered Malawi without a passport. His passports are there with you in South Africa. So we have to get a little more information before we zero in to talking to him, so that whatever we have should make sense. But I think most of the things are things that I can't discuss here, because they concern matters security, and I think those are expert issues that can be better discussed by the experts in that field.
Okay, so in terms of the meeting itself, he had said that they will have a meeting with senior government officials. You also indicated in numerous interviews that as the government, you'd be looking forward to having that particular meeting with him. That meeting didn't take place.
That meeting has not taken place yet. We thought it was going to take place today, but it has not taken place.
Do you know whether or not he's been able to present himself to the police in Malawi?
We do not have those reports, not even at the Ministry of Homeland Security or any other relevant authority, which means he has not done that yet. Once he does that, certainly we have nothing to hide. That's one thing that we have to make clear, that we have nothing to hide, and this is not a complicated issue, and this is not a difficult issue for us to deal with. This is one of the many, many issues that we have had to deal with over the years, because Prophet Bushiri is just one of our citizens who live and stay in South Africa. And it's not the first time also that South Africa or any other country like Zimbabwe, you know, Mozambique and others have probably asked our citizens to appear in court, or maybe they need to answer certain issues in court. This is not something new at all. And we are also not putting on any special gloves when handling the issue of Prophet Bushiri. Prophet Bushiri is just one of our citizens, and in this case, he has got issues with the government of South Africa. He's got issues with the courts in South Africa, and we should be able to handle that very well.
Okay, but we have to agree, though, Minister, that Shepherd Bushiri is not just any other Malawian. He is a Malawian who has a diplomatic passport as well. But we'll deal with that just after the break. Just a final one before we go
but maybe before we go to that break and before you get to the other questions, let me say that having a diplomatic passport, or having any other passport, or being any other person in any other setup does not make you different when we are touching the law. Before the law, whether you have a diplomatic passport or you do not have, you are still a citizen, and you are equal with any other citizen. So we must be talking about how the law works here, and Prophet Bushiri is just answering matters as any other citizen in South Africa.
Okay, we'll come back to the issue around the diplomatic passport. But then in terms of Shepherd Bushiri himself, right now, can you confirm that he is still in Malawi?
He is still in Malawi.
He is still in Malawi.
Yes.
Are you able to tell us how you know that, as a matter of fact?
Because we have not heard that he is anywhere apart from the time and the place that he has been.
Yeah.
He has not moved. I think we can only know that if we hear that he is elsewhere. But at the moment, we know he is in Malawi.
Okay. I'm asking this question, Minister, because he came into the country on Wednesday, and you didn't know that he was in the country, I'd assume, when he arrived in the country, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you
Yeah,
didn't know that. So what is it that you rely on now that tells you that he's still in the country?
Yeah, because he didn't tell us that he was going to be in the country. And this time around, he has told us he's in the country. And we know where he is. This is why we can confirm he's still in the country.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for that, Minister. When we come back, we continue our conversation with the Minister of Information, Gospel Kazako, and also touching on the press release that was issued earlier on by the Foreign Minister in Malawi in relation to how the President of Malawi was treated just before his flight disembarked from Waterkloof Air Force Base. That conversation just after this. And welcome back to Unfiltered with me, Aldrin Simpier. We're in conversation with the Information Minister of Malawi, Gospel Kazako, and later on we'll be joined by political analyst, Professor Elisabeth. Minister, let's go back to the issue that we raised earlier on, and this is in relation to the diplomatic passport. You are saying that diplomatic passport doesn't mean anything when it comes to you and the law. Doesn't a diplomatic passport come with a sense of privileges that are enjoyed by those individuals that have that passport, including that they sometimes enjoy immunity?
Yeah, but it doesn't put you above the law.
Yeah.
It does not put you above the law.
So there are certain immunities that you then enjoy. Can you then explain to us what was the rationale behind the Malawian government giving Bushiri, Shepherd Bushiri that diplomatic passport?
This has been a practice before, and it has been done for a long time. Founders of various churches, leaders of various churches were being given these diplomatic passports. Of course, that has been stopped now. And not because of this incident, but I think it has stopped some few months ago. There was a review of policy.
Yeah.
And the Prophet Bushiri is not the first person to have a diplomatic passport. He's not the first church leader to be issued with a diplomatic passport.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then also the question around the communication between the Malawian government as well as the South African government. The last time I heard you speak on this morning in one of the local radio stations, you indicated that there has been no communication. Has anything changed so far?
No, it has not changed. Still, we have not received anything from the government of South Africa, not by the end of today.
So not even a phone call to the ambassador or the consular?
Nothing. We have not received anything from there.
Is this a concern at all for the Malawian government that there has been no communication between the Malawian government as well as the South African government, considering the allegations as well that are being leveled now, even against the President Lazarus?
No, it's not a concern. Why it is not a concern? One, we are very clean out of this. And two, this is an issue that is happening in South Africa. South Africa is the one that is looking to having Prophet Bushiri. And you might also wish to know that we have not been briefed of anything or on anything that has been happening with our citizen, Prophet Bushiri. Bushiri has been in South Africa and has been appearing in courts. He's been going on bail and so on and so forth. We do not have those finer details. And he came in this country, and we still have not been briefed of exactly what happened. We can only act when we have received a brief and the request and what is required of us, or I might say what the South African government would want us to do. So it is not a very big concern, but certainly when it comes on our table, when it comes on our official desk, we'll deal with it. You must remember that South Africa is a very special partner to us. South Africa is a very good friend of ours. There are thousands of Malawians, if not probably 1 or so millions of Malawians living and staying in South Africa. So South Africa has a very, very special place in our DNA as a country. So certainly when there is need for us to cooperate with them, we will certainly have to cooperate because, one, we are also trying to grow our relationship, strengthen our relationship, cement our relationship, and certainly there are certain things that we have to do together in cooperation and in one facility of tandem.
So the reason that I also asked this question around whether there is any concern that there is no communication between the South African government and the Malawian government is because of the statement that was issued as well by the Foreign Ministry in terms of the delay at Waterkloof Air Force Base. In the statement, the minister goes on to say that, as such, the Malawi delegation was justified to dismiss as unacceptable and unsatisfactory that the South African authorities used unspecified security reasons to hinder President Chakwera from leaving with his advance team. So even on that basis, you still maintain that there is no concern whatsoever between the Malawian government and the South African government, even though you have a president of the country who was subjected to what you call unsatisfactory what the statement calls dismiss as unacceptable and unsatisfactory how South African authorities and securities have given a reason to hinder President Chakwera from leaving with his advance team.
We shouldn't mix the two issues. There's an issue to do, or there's an issue to do with the matters protocol involving our state president, and then there's an issue involving Prophet Bushiri. These are two different issues. So let's isolate these issues. We shouldn't combine them because they're not talking to each other. Prophet Bushiri is not coming into the equation of the treatment that our delegation was given in South Africa. Neither the treatment had anything to do with Prophet Bushiri, not at least in our knowledge. So we shouldn't combine the two.
So there's no suspicion whatsoever from the Malawian government that these unspecified security reasons could also be that these security officers from South Africa were trying to inspect whether or not Shepherd Bushiri was on that aircraft.
Unless your question is the confirmation of what these security officers were meant to be doing. But at the moment, we can only put it the way we have put it in the statement that we have issued.
Okay, so no concern whatsoever that these unspecified security reasons that you have no idea of could have led to this concern, that there is no concern whatsoever.
There are two issues. You see, you are trying as much as possible to combine the two, and then we are going to distort the whole the whole conversation here. The two are different. We shouldn't combine them. The Bushiri issue and the protocol issue are different issues.
Yeah.
Let's deal with each one of them differently and individually. Because if we combine, then I know that the media in South Africa, for example, has actually gone on the offensive. They are pushing an agenda. Their agenda is to still start to create and grow seeds of suspicion that probably the president is the one who brought Bushiri here. So they are being creative, just like what you're doing now. You're trying to be as creative as possible to make us get on the table of trying to
Minister,
we shouldn't combine the two. These are two different matters.
Okay, so the reason that I ask you this question, Minister, is that earlier on this morning, I was in conversation with the committee chairperson, the portfolio committee chairperson on Home Affairs, and he says that from the information that they have, the information that they've received, that Bushiri was on the plane that left South Africa, Waterkloof Air Force Base. And that's the reason why I ask these questions. Not something that I've made up, but it's something that comes from an official who sits in Parliament, who's a member of Parliament.
Yeah, but you see, we have also seen most of your officials tweeting and posting things that Bushiri was in this plane, that we we managed to sneak him out of South Africa and so on and so forth. And I believe that South Africa is a great country. We look at it as a great country. They've got a great government.
Yeah.
I'm sure you trust your government. You believe your government. And your government has issued a statement that has explained everything and certainly has relegated everything that has been alleged against the entire equation. To say Bushiri had joined the delegation of Malawi coming into Malawi. They have made it very, very clear. And why this issue keeps on coming, that's why I'm saying we think that this is some, effort to create a narrative and a discourse that would smell good fragrance based on what they want to achieve at the end of the day.
Would you say that narrative also comes from the officials that you spoke about earlier on? Do you think that they are also trying to push an agenda? Earlier on, you said there's been officials also in your country who have been saying that Bushiri was on their plane. So are you saying that there are government officials who are trying to push a certain narrative?
I think we have seen some tweets from very, very senior people in South Africa, but probably we can't discuss that now. And another thing is, let's also avoid a situation of portraying a picture as if there is a very big row or rift between Malawi and South Africa. We shall always be friends. In fact, our character will be seen that when we are faced with challenges like this one, the way we are going to sort them out, it's what will make us better countries and better friends. So there isn't any row. I know the word rift and row or diplomatic problem, these are the words, the tools that the media is using in South Africa, but we are not looking at it that way. There's just an issue here, and we're going to sort it out very well. There's a Bushiri issue that is going to be sorted out. There is a protocol issue that involved the delegation that was led by our president. I think that will be sorted out. We're going to use all the instruments and all the channels to make sure these are sorted. And our friendship with South Africa shall still continue to be what it has always been.
Okay, that is Minister Gospel Kazako. We'll continue this conversation just after this break. We have to say goodbye to our SABC 3 viewers, but the conversation will continue on the SABC News channel on 404. We'll also be joined by political analyst Prof Elisabeth. And welcome back to Unfiltered with me, Aldrin Simpier. We're still in conversation with the Malawi Information Minister, Gospel Kazako. We're also joined by political analyst, Professor Elisabeth, who has been listening into this interview. Let's first start with the Prof. Prof, good evening and welcome to Unfiltered. Listening into what the Minister had to say there about what he says, there's no rift between the government of Malawi as well as the government of South Africa. What then do you make of that, considering that some are saying that this could lead to a diplomatic spat?
Well, I think he is quite articulate and consistent and convincing to a great extent. I'm really impressed with his presentation. He's arguing his points well. At the end of the day, it's either he's there or he's not there.
Yeah.
And if he's there, he's either preparing to leave and possibly for the United Arab Emirates, and that we have been made aware that is around. And when he leaves, he doesn't make us aware. It would be the same as it happened in South Africa. We knew he was around. He disappeared. He can still disappear. That's fine. But truth be told, he's no ordinary man. Bushiri is no ordinary man. Not every citizen in that part of the world gets a diplomatic passport. Neither is it the case in South Africa or Mozambique.
Yeah.
So special people get that. And when he arrives home, by the way, he gets royal treatment. He gets red carpet treatment.
Minister, if you're still there, would you agree with that analysis that when Bushiri arrives in the country, he gets royal treatment, the red carpet gets rolled out for him? Hi, Minister, are you still there? Is the Minister still there? Okay, it seems though that he's struggling to hear me. We're going to try and re-establish that line with the professor. And listening into the argument also made earlier on, Prof, is that what the minister is arguing is that this is nothing new. Some pastors in Malawi have been receiving diplomatic passports, and he did indicate that there's a review of that.
Yes, but the fact is, as of now, that is the case, right? And Bushiri, like others, was given that diplomatic passport, and I don't see any problem with that, as it happens all over the world. If there are issues with Bushiri, let's deal with them as we should. And incidentally, if I may, just push it further, there's nothing unique about Bushiri in relation to South Africa, by the way. Where is al-Bashir today? Where are the Guptas today? Where is Madam Grace Mugabe today?
Yeah.
You know how they left this part of the world? Who helped them and what happened subsequently? Yes, Bushiri is central today, but let's not make him special.
Yeah.
We must look at ourselves and say, where did we lose the plot?
Okay, let's see whether the minister can hear me now. Minister, just a quick response to what Professor Elisabeth, if I had to say there, that in Malawi, Bushiri is treated like royalty. Your take on that?
No, I don't think that's very correct. In Malawi, Bushiri is treated as one of the faith leaders. Certainly is one of the leaders in the faith path, and is a founder of a church. To say that is treated like loyalty, it all depends on what he means. Royalty, because royalty can mean or can be seen or can be described differently depending on which part of the world you are in. But in this country, we treat him like a leader of his church. We have so many leaders of churches in Malawi, and we treat Prophet Bushiri just like those leaders.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say that probably one of those aspects of whether he is treated with royalty, like a royal or not, is that, let me ask you this, is he legally in the country? Is he legally in Malawi?
Come again?
Is Shepherd Bushiri right now legally in Malawi?
We have to. You're saying, is he legally in Malawi?
Yeah.
Just like he left South Africa illegally. If the passports are with you, he entered Malawi while leaving his passport in South Africa. Certainly, any person who enters in this country without a passport, certainly that is an illegal entry into a country.
Yeah.
Just like he left illegally in your country through your borders.
Sure. So now going back to what Professor Elisabeth has been saying, that he's treated like royalty in Malawi. So somebody comes to Malawi illegally, so he has broken the law of the country, and he doesn't get arrested, but yet the government knows exactly where he is. How do we explain that? And remember earlier on, Minister, you also said that no one is above the law.
Yes, no one is above the law. But there is also a procedure that we need to follow. There are so many things that we have to do before we get to arrest someone. Certainly, we're doing all sorts of investigations, and we do not want to diverge a lot of information here. Be assured, we have got a very, very robust police in this country. We have got very robust government agents in this country. They are all looking at this issue quite serious. And that does not translate into treating someone like loyalty. I don't think that when Bushiri was passing through your borders, he did that because you're treating him as royalty. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the reason that this question... Okay, sure, Professor, you can go ahead.
Yes. You see, when you deploy state resources to welcome Bushiri, when the head of state delegates someone to go and receive him and to speak on his behalf, and a red carpet is rolled and state resources are used, that to me, especially the red carpet in literal terms, I don't know, what that would mean, other than to say, yes. And of course, let me not cheapen his standing in South Africa, by the way. He's also revered in this country, and perhaps more revered in his own country. But truth be told is that he does enjoy a unique status in that part of the world. And I heard them say, you have contributed to the socio-economic welfare of this country and to the spiritual nourishment of this country. That was the minister representing the late President Mutharika, I want to believe.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know, Minister, if you have any response to that?
It's not the first time that a president has sent a representative to an event or to a function. It's not the first time that a president has sent someone to speak on his behalf at any event organized by anybody. And similarly, it's not the first time that a president has sent, or a government has sent, a representative to any church. Carpets are rolled everywhere in this country. You see carpets at weddings, you see carpets during graduation ceremonies, you see carpets all over. And to us, that's not royalty. It depends on how you describe royalty on that part of the world. But in our part of the world, that is normal, and it happens all the time.
Okay. So, Minister, there's also the issue around the Interpol alert that has been requested. I don't know whether your government has received any information from that end. This is now from Interpol.
We need to come back on that one. But my desk has not received that, but we should be able to come back on that one. And I want to repeat this. There's nothing we are hiding, and there's nothing that we are afraid of, because we are a lawful nation and we believe in the law. So whatever information I can give you, I'll certainly give you so that you are in the picture of what is happening here.
Yeah. Okay, let's just quickly bring in Professor Tifo. Professor Tifo, looking into these allegations, of course, that have been leveled against Prophet Bushiri and how he was able to skip the country, and the minister emphasizing that as well and saying that there will be an investigation into that. But on the other end, now you have this warrant of arrest that has been issued, that the Hawks have secured. How confident are you that the South African state will be able to secure the return of Shepherd Bushiri?
That's a tough one. If you look at what went before that, we have Madam Grace Mugabe. Politics does play a major role. And as you know, in politics, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. It's all about interest. To the extent that the relations can be damaged and be repaired within the next 24 hours or months, politicians will look at those. Al-Bashir, I want to believe that we contributed, we abetted and aided his departure. The Guptas left from Lanseria Airport. How Bushiri left and from which airport or through which channel, but at the end of the day, he also left. Will he come back? My guess is as good as yours. But I wouldn't be surprised that the minister is talking to you and I now when he's already either in the United Arab Emirates or it's en route to that part of the world, where we don't have at least treaties, right? Extradition treaties, because that's what comes into play. And as you, on paper, by the way, Samjen, on paper, we have a lot of protocols and treaties, especially in SADC and in Africa, but they count for nothing. They come to naught when it matters most.
But let's just quickly go back to the minister before we go to an ad break. Minister, just quickly on that, I guess there is how could I put it, an assurance from the Malawian government that it will cooperate with the South African government once the extradition process has started. But can you confirm whether or not the Malawian government has alerted its border post as well to ensure that Bushiri doesn't leave the country?
Everything is in full play here, and we have to follow all the procedures. And you just mentioned a point, whether we are going to cooperate or not. It's not our choice to cooperate. It's not our choice not to cooperate. We have no choice. It's not, when dealing or handling this matter, we're not using common sense. We are going to follow the law. Whatever the law will guide us to do, that's what we are going to do. We have got protocols. Is that the professor believes that these things are just on paper. But in this part of the world, in our country, we believe in the law. We don't just treat them as pieces of paper. That cannot happen here. We're going to be informed. Our decisions are going to be informed by the laws that we have. Our decisions are going to be informed by the protocols that we signed. So that, as I said, it's not a complicated matter, because the way, the approach that we are getting, or the way we are being asked questions sometimes as if this is a huge, complicated matter. To us, it is not, because we've got the law.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you again, Minister. Has the government alerted its various ports of entry to secure the ports of entry to ensure that Shepherd Bushiri does not leave the country?
You see, there is one point that you are jumping here. I think let us agree very well. The first thing is that we have to have some motivation, some approach from the South African government. Yeah. Because it's that will inform the magnitude of our operations. Yeah. We need to know. You see, you are assuming. The biggest problem that we have in this equation is there are so many assumptions. We're just assuming. Now, as a government, we cannot operate on assumptions. Okay. We need to have tangible information.
I'm going to ask you again, Minister. Yes. Has the Malawian government alerted its border posts or its ports of entry to secure the ports and make sure that that Bushiri does not leave the country? Has that happened? Whether or not you'd argue that we're still waiting for the information, that's fine. You can say that we haven't done that, we're still waiting for information, that's okay. Or you can say that we have decided out of our own volition to do that. So I'm asking again, Minister, has the Malawian government alerted its ports of entry to ensure that Bushiri does not leave the country?
If Bushiri wanted to leave the country, then he couldn't have come to this country. Why should he come here and then leave? If there is any other option better than being in Malawi...
But Minister, you're not answering the question. Minister, you're not answering the question. The question is, has the Malawian government alerted its ports of entry to say that Bushiri shouldn't leave the country? That is either it's a yes or it's a no, and you can explain why it's a yes or no.
No. We cannot answer that in a yes or no situation. I think it would be doing a disservice to that area. The thing is, Bushiri left South Africa without a passport. He passed through the South African borders and came all the way to Malawi. And when he came here, he announced he's in Malawi. What would motivate him to leave Malawi and go elsewhere? Because if there's any better option that he would have chosen, he would have done that from South Africa to that option. Otherwise, this is his option, and he's in here.
Yeah, but why is it such a difficult question to answer, Minister?
It's not. I'm answering it. It's just that you want me to answer what you want to hear. That's the problem.
I'm asking for yes or no.
I'm not giving.
I'm asking for yes or no. So we don't get. Okay, I mean, so we won't get a yes or no. Okay.
No. I am answering you. I'm answering you, but I think what I'm answering you is not what you want. That now we can't conversate like that. I mean, that's my answer. I've given you my answer.
Okay, thank you so much. That is the Minister of Information in Malawi, Gospel Kazako. We continue the conversation just after this, and also some closing remarks from Professor Elisabeth. And welcome back to Unfiltered. As we conclude this conversation, let's just quickly bring into this discussion the spokesperson of the Hawks, that is Colonel Katlego Mogale. Colonel Mogale, good evening and welcome to Unfiltered. Now that the Hawks have secured this warrant of arrest, what is the next step?
Good evening, Aldrin. The next step, as you have heard, is that the Bushiris should present themselves at the Pretoria Magistrate Court on Thursday, and failure to do so will result in them forfeiting their residence, which they have already handed in the title deed of. And also they already have forfeited the bail that they had posted.
So in terms of activating then the extradition, what happens there?
An extradition is a rather long process. What's going to happen is that we will apply for extradition, but there is certain processes that need to be in place should it be that they are indeed in Malawi.
So from the information that you have, do you know whether indeed he is in Malawi?
That is still under investigation, as most of what we have is basically what's on Facebook and Twitter. There hasn't been any physical identification that he is indeed in Malawi. And if he is indeed in Malawi, we're also going to have to add an additional charge of illegally leaving the country.
Okay. So there's also the issue of around activating the Interpol alert. How does that and then have an impact whatsoever or call on the Malawian officials to respond?
That is basically a notification that we are indeed looking for fugitives who have absconded from this country and are in a different country.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what's expected then from the officials in Malawi? What's expected from the police officers? I just want to get an idea that once an Interpol alert has been made, what happens?
Once that Interpol alert has been made, it basically means that provisionally the law enforcement in a country, in the member country of the Interpol, should assist the country that is applying to secure the arrest of that specific fugitive, and the processes from the applicant country will then take through so that we are able to have them extradited to this country.
Okay. Do you know as yet whether or not the Malawian officials have received that particular alert and what it is that they're supposed to be doing?
Not at this moment. I do not know that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That is Colonel Katlego Mogale. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Apologies to Professor Elisabeth as well as Minister Gospel. We were hoping to get some closing remarks from them, but unfortunately, we've run out of time. But thank you so much for watching Unfiltered with me, Aldrin Simpier. It is now time for the Globe, and the old young man is standing by and he's dancing. Thank you so much for watching the show. Goodbye.